Hello and welcome. My name is Zaffar Iqbal, and you are watching the Mojo Story. Chinese President and Indian Prime Minister have met on the sidelines of the BRICS Summit. China has claimed that the conversation between President Xi and Prime Minister Modi at the sidelines of the summit took place on the request of Prime Minister Modi. But refuting those claims, government sources have told media organizations that there was a pending request from the Chinese side for a bilateral meeting, and the two leaders had an informal conversation. To discuss this and more on this issue, we're joined by Lieutenant General Rameshwar Yadav, who's a former Director General of Infantry and an expert on India-China relations. Welcome to the show, sir. Uh,
Thank
uh,
you.
you know, claims and counterclaims, but let's go directly to the substance of it. How significant do you think is this meeting between President Xi and Prime Minister Modi?
I think it is more of a diplomatic pleasantry. Like last time in Bali, they just had a very brief encounter with each other. They spoke to each other. This time also, what had been reported that in leaders' launch, they both met, and it was an informal conversation, which Chinese side is trying to convey as if it was on the request by our Prime Minister, wherein our own Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they have clarified. Look, it was a pending issue, pending request, in fact, from the Chinese side for a bilateral meeting. The
Yes.
bilateral meeting, when you say, it is
Yeah.
a formal meeting between two heads of the state, two chief executives, under a proper agenda with their all the lieutenants along with them, the complete staff. So it is a very deliberate kind of an affair. And what I believe and what I've read in the newspaper, I think Indian Express they have quoted, there were nobody who was taking notes. There were no interpreter also. So it is more of a informal kind of a conversation which both the leaders took advantage of that area, and they did express each other's concern. Our prime minister very clearly conveyed a very subtle point, and that is it is LAC which
Yeah.
is the main cause of our bilateral relationship. If we have to move forward, you have to resolve this, and we have a deep concern about this. Wherein Chinese side, typical of their pattern, they were using language, what you call it, Hindi, lachedar, Angrezi, and thereafter they were trying to convey, look, it was by the request of Prime Minister Modi, thereby scoring a point, look, we are standing at our place, it is you who had requested for it. Plus, they use a very loaded term that to handle the border issues in a more means formal manner and more in a better manner. This is what they have been using most of the meetings. So this is what is, and in my comment is there's nothing new about this. That is
Yes.
number one. And I don't think looking at Chinese pattern, that nothing much is going to change. If it
You know,
changes, if they disengage and de-escalate, is good for both the countries. Means I agree to that. But I don't think they will do it in a hurry, and there are reasons for it.
no, the point here is that it was an informal, very short interaction between the two leaders. That is what India has been saying, and that is what happened. Why is China wanting to score a point by emphasizing that the meeting took place on the request of Prime Minister Modi? Now, Indian side is very clear. India, as you also put it, that matters, unresolved matters along the LAC need to be resolved. There's no ambiguity from the Indian side, but it's not clear what the Chinese are up to. On one hand, they're saying that India wants to have a meeting. On the other hand, they don't want to come to the crux of the problem, the issue that India has been emphasizing, the unresolved issues at the line of actual control.
You see, China believes in avoid, bypass, confuse. They will maintain the ambiguity on the LAC. Till date, they
Yeah.
have not exchanged any maps wherein they say, look, if this is their perception of LAC and these are the disputed points, they have never ever given the proper maps about it. They always talk in the vague language. They came to these areas 3 years back, and once they came, they thought that they are going to make the Indian polity change their mindset. That didn't happen. We mobilized our army, and as on date, more than 50,000 troops are there. And we had seen to it that we convey a subtle message to them. In Galwan, you see what had happened. It was a setback to them. And when we occupied the Kailash range, that is the
Yeah.
time they got a little threatened. And that's where they started pulling back from Pangong, so Gogra Heights, and all those areas. And the main issue in my analysis is China feels threatened in number of ways from India. Leave aside geopolitics and various other things, what is happening Indo-Pacific and kind of leverage that we have in Indian Ocean. And moment we created means constructed a road to DBO, that is one point of they think that we are going to threaten their CPAC, which is
Yeah.
Xi Jinping's brainchild, and they have invested around $82 billion, and that is one logistics communication network that will save them circuitous route and the dangerous route from Indo-Pacific and Indian Ocean. So it is a win-win situation for them, but then that project is not moving the way they wanted it. So this is one of the concern, and the other concerns are little historical legacy. 19 what the 1959 line what Chow Enlai said. Now Xi Jinping wants to go down as the greatest leader in Chinese history. Now he wants to do certain things. He wants to finish the unfinished task left by Mao Zedong and Chow Enlai, who have been a greater leader than him in the history of
Yeah.
China. So that is another issue.
Yeah,
Another point that comes.
you pointed out rightly to CPEC, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. Of course, India does not uh, accept that project in the first place because that passes through areas of POK, which obviously India says that they belong to that they belong to India. They're not a part of Pakistan territory. But on CPEC also, there are reports that is slowing down in Pakistan. Its work has slowed down, though it may be a pet project of presidency and a flagship project of China, but it's also not working. There's nothing that India is doing about it, but it's dying its own death, I believe.
Absolutely. Firstly, anything that you do beyond your sovereign boundaries, you have no control. Pakistan, the political hierarchy in Pakistan army, they may be pro-China, but if you look at the common person, they are certainly not in favor of Chinese. Look at it, what is happening in Balochistan. They think that China is going to intrude into the areas and they are going to impact their own economy. Look at the Pakistani industries. Moment Chinese will come there, they are going to establish their factories, and the kind of power station they have and the cost of power, the local industry is going to die. So those people are quite aware about all these problems. That is the reason there's a lot of security issues there. Moreover, the Chinese concept of the BRI is give loan and under very
Yeah,
dubious kind of conditions, and thereafter that loan has to be repaid back. Pakistan
yeah,
doesn't have capability to pay back. They are borrowing from all over the world with a begging bowl, so they possibly cannot pay back that amount. And moreover, what is happening in China as on date, if you look at a bigger picture, the Chinese economy is has taken a toll. You see the infrastructure industry, which is around 30% of their GDP. Now there are a lot of insolvency cases are taking place in the infrastructure. The unemployment figures, if you read the newspaper, it is ranging between 25 to 30%. So personal incomes are reducing, unemployment is increasing. So therefore, the Chinese economy is getting impacted. So China is at a very moment where the kind of progress they had earlier, it is subtly slowing down. China has got
you
very
know, you
deep
know,
pockets.
Coming back to BRICS meeting, China's foreign ministry spokesperson has said that President Xi stressed that improving China-India relations serves the common interests of the two countries and the people and is conducive to peace and stability and development of the world and the region. Now, what is the common interest here? Isn't resolving the issues at the LAC the common interest between the two countries? Shouldn't that be the paramount interest? What is common interest?
The common interest, as I see it, is to boost to Chinese economy. and Chinese stature. This is what their common interest is. Our common interest is you move back from the place, assume the status quo 3 years back, and thereafter we will talk to you. That is our common interest. There is adequate space in this world for everybody to grow and develop. But China, their psyche is they want to
Yeah.
have the cake and eat it too. They want everything to themselves. And if they can't get it through normal economic means or diplomatic and political means, they use military overtures. They're doing it everywhere. Their hands are full as against Taiwan, against South Korea, against Japan, and against India. You look at it, the number of places that they are showing their eyes. So that is not a correct concept in the present day world. It was okay long time back, 300 or 400 years ago, but not now.
Yes, and since the standoff in Ladakh, this is the second meeting between the two leaders. The earlier one at Bali, and now this is the second meeting. Do you think there has been any movement forward, or things are stuck as they were?
Only positive point what I see it at least they're talking. All right. And once they start
Yeah,
talking, so the next level of talks probably will take place. And now, Chinese president is coming to India next month for
yeah,
G20. Once again, they're going to meet. So we hope that let the things move forward. It is good for both the countries. I do not deny that. But the fact remains, Chinese, they are very opaque in their dealings. They are very slippery in their conduct, and they believe in psychological warfare. Salami slices, they'll come
yeah.
and sit down there. They want to convert LSA into LOC, thereafter making it de facto a borderline. So the lot of mix and match what they're trying to do. They're not very clear, and you can't read their mind what they're going to do next. So we have to be
Right.
very very apprehensive and very cautious.
Right. But what is the sense that you have about the situation at LAC? It's been almost 3 years since the standoff started. A lot of time has passed. There has been some de escalation at some points. But what is the sense that you have about the situation at the LAC right now?
Firstly, two armies when they are facing each other, so it certainly is not a very happy situation for neither for India nor for China. That is one point. Second point is China came there and they have no. I don't think they have met their. They have achieved their objective. They wanted to come here. Now they do not know how to go back. Now they would like to go back from a position of strength. So,
Yeah.
but for that, because of our deployment, the options are very very limited. Another
Hmm.
option is to create some kind of a little, take their military overture a little further. Now, that is something they also realize if they do that, they'll get a bloody nose. So, that will be even
Absolutely.
worse. So, they really do not know how to go back and face the face. So this is what it is. It is a very big problem for them. And if
Yeah.
they do that, then within their own constituency, within China, President Xi Jinping, I mean, he'll have a he'll be on the back foot. You see
Absolutely.
this
And
rule.
they, yeah.
So it is a very tricky situation for them also. So that is the reason they want to delay it. They want to confuse the whole issue. They want to create ambiguity about the whole affair, and they are indulging in psychological warfare.
Perhaps they would have never anticipated that Indian army will give a befitting response in the shape of build-up from the Indian side. They would have perhaps intimidated the Indian side by, you know, resorting to those tactics, but they would have never perhaps thought the response from the Indian side, and that is what has put them in a bind now. They don't know how to come out of it.
Absolutely. The way we are mobilized in response to their intrusions.
Yeah,
So they didn't know what to do. And we are in a very strong position. And Indian Army is a highly experienced army, unlike Chinese Army. Last war,
yeah,
what they fought was more than 40 years ago, and that too with a small country, Vietnam. And even
yeah,
there also, their account is not very good. So they
yes,
understand that, but they play around they play a mind game. And this time
yeah.
the mind game didn't work.
Absolutely. And one of those things about that mind games is releasing those videos and trying to create those psychological games, but that's not going to work anymore. But on a different note, the opposition has been keenly watching the government moves. Even today, Rahul Gandhi in Ladakh, he was in Kargil actually. He said that China has grabbed land in Ladakh and has accused the Prime Minister of not acknowledging that. If we can have that bite up before we go to Lieutenant General Rameshwar Yadav.
लद्दाख
Well,
एक स्ट्रेटेजिक जगह है और यहां आने पर खासतौर से जब मैं पैंगोंग लेक में था तो एक बात बिल्कुल साफ है कि चाइना ने हिंदुस्तान की जमीन ली है। हजारों किलोमीटर जमीन हिंदुस्तान की चाइना ने हमसे छीनी है और दुख की बात है कि हिंदुस्तान के प्रधानमंत्री ने ऑपोजिशन की मीटिंग में कहा कि हिंदुस्तान का 1 इंच किसी ने नहीं लिया है। यह सरासर झूठ है। लद्दाख का हर व्यक्ति इस बात को जानता है कि लद्दाख की जमीन चाइना ने हिंदुस्तान से ली है और प्रधानमंत्री जी सच नहीं बोल रहे हैं।
Lieutenant General Rameshwar Yadav.
well, I'll refrain from comment on politicians. They are free to say what
Yeah.
they want. I think
Yeah.
we should go by the government version, what government
Yeah.
even know of the situation.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's a responsible government, and it has got very good, highly spirited leadership. So we should go by the government statement rather than any other national level politician. So I'll refrain from commenting on anything which has got political.
Yes, but what is clear, perhaps there should be a united voice from India, whether the government or the
Absolutely.
opposition, as far as sensitive issues like border LAC and China are concerned. I
Absolutely.
think that will work better.
On
I think
the matter of national security, our polity should join heads, and we should speak in one tone.
there's no disagreement on that. But that's all the time we have on the show. Thanks so much for joining us, Lieutenant General Rameshwar Yadav, and discussing this issue. Thanks to our audiences for joining us. Please do keep watching Mojo Story.
Thank you, and Jai Hind to all the listeners.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.